Shocking raid exposed. Officer's life transformed as $7 million lawsuits reveal incredible justice. Officer Jake Thompson shuffled through the precinct, the hum of the morning turning into an ominous silence as a heavy SWAT team stormed in like soldiers on a battlefield. Chaos erupted, shouts and clattering echoed through the halls. He felt his heart drop. What could possibly have unraveled? Accusations flew like deadly arrows, charging him and his fellow officers with corruption. The badge he'd worn proudly for so long suddenly felt like shackles binding him to an offense he had not committed. Doubt washed over him like cold water. Was everything Dr. Morris had told him last summer a lie? Moral dilemmas tightened like a noose around his throat. There was an uproar outside. People wanted blood and they were looking at him. All the values his grandfather had instilled in him rushed through his mind. Honor, duty, integrity. But now, they seemed to mock him. "You're one of them," whispered the voices in his head. The sunlight filtering through the precinct windows felt sharp and accusing, reminding him of the family name he cherished, now hanging by a thread. In the quiet of his office, he grimaced, the scent of fresh-cut grass wafting in from the outside, a reminder of a simpler time. He thought of Sarah, his rock, her face a mixture of support and concern. How could he explain this nightmare? She'd worked too hard to earn respect in their small community. The anxiety knots twisted his stomach, reminding him of youth chocolate milkshakes and endless summer days. But those days were fading beneath a dark cloud of scandal. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The glaring sunlight cast shadows across his desk, and an idea flickered. He had to take control. Why was his name intertwined with allegations? He couldn't let them paint him as another crooked cop. Venturing deeper into the investigation, he was haunted by memories of Uncle Henry, the estranged figure enveloped in unanswered questions and echoed footsteps. Could he be a thread in this tangled fabric of deceit? The scrutiny of the townsfolk curdled his stomach. Not just his career was at stake, but the future of his family too. Despair gripped him when he realized that even the closest friendships seemed to fray under the weight of rumor. He felt a monstrous isolation clinging to him, as if a thick fog drowned out the vibrant life of Maplewood. Tension seeped into every conversation, every encounter turned hostile. Could he isolate the lies spreading like wildfire among neighbors? Glaring into the mirror, he confronted the reflection. Who was he now? Could he navigate this storm of betrayal and be the officer his grandfather hoped he would be? As his resolve strengthened, doubt whispered treachery waiting in the shadows. With the phones ringing, dragging him back to reality, he picked it up hesitantly, the pit of uncertainty deepening within him. Was his self-discovery leading him to glory or annihilation? The call could change everything. And suddenly, he felt the ground beneath him shift, beckoning buried truths to rise. Would he find the courage to face the legacy he never asked for? Jake Thompson's grip tightened around the telephone receiver as he braced himself for the conversation unfolding. The voice on the other end, stern yet urgent, belonged to Detective Clara Ramirez, one of the precinct's most seasoned officers. She urged him to meet her at a cafe across town, claiming new evidence was surfacing that could alter the trajectory of the investigation into him, and the allegations swirling like a tempest. Panic and hope collided within him, turning his stomach as he stepped outside. The warmth of the sun felt foreign, its brilliance a stark contrast to the shadow of disbelief looming over his life. The world had shifted, familiarity drifted away. Every passerby ricocheted off his anxiety, their eyes perhaps seeing the betrayal he felt etching itself into his soul. Arriving at the cafe, he spotted Clara seated at a table, her expression a mix of determination and sympathy. As he approached, he noted the lines of worry etched into her brow, a reflection of the storm they both shared. "Jake," she started, lowering her voice. I found something that connects the dots. You need to take a look. He leaned closer, his heart hammering louder than the clinking of coffee cups around them. She slid a manila folder across the table. He opened it cautiously, each page revealing meticulous accounts of transactions linked to mysterious figures. As he scanned the documents, one name jolted him: Uncle Henry. "What the?" Jake murmured, the revelation striking like a bolt of lightning. "I had my suspicions about your uncle. It appears he's been involved with some shady dealings," Clara revealed. "He may have more to do with this scandal than you realize." A fracture of betrayal punctured through Jake's already tumultuous emotions. His uncle, once a figure of confusion and estrangement, now loomed in his mind as a potential puppeteer of the chaos engulfing him. He felt the weight of generations in that moment. Choices, legacies, consequences far beyond his understanding. Why wouldn't he come to me? Jake's voice dripped with disbelief. "We've been family." "Family ties can be complex, Jake," Clara interrupted softly. "We can't change the past, but we can control what happens next." The thought of confronting his uncle sent a shiver down his spine. Was Henry complicit, or merely swept up in something larger? Another thought emerged. This revelation could either be the key to his redemption, or the final nail in his coffin. "What do I do now?" he asked, his voice gravelly with tension, each word a grappling hook to clarity in an ocean of confusion. "Gather proof. Follow his trail. Be careful. He has connections. You'll need to prioritize your safety over everything else, including what you hope this family legacy means." With a heavy nod, Jake understood the gravity of Clara's words. He needed to take the reins of his life and career. No more living in the shadows of guilt and implication. He needed to shine light on the truth of his uncle's role and expose whatever darkness wrapped itself around him. As he stepped back onto the bustling street, an unfamiliar clarity fueled his resolve. The journey ahead was rife with peril. Deception loomed at every corner as he approached a crossroads that could lead to his salvation or destruction. Determination ignited within him, but the thoughts of Uncle Henry sent icy fingers down his spine. The time had come to confront more than just allegations. He was diving into his own family's secrets. Would the confrontation lead to liberation, or leave him ensnared in a web of betrayal? The path stretched ahead like an uncharted map, uncertainties unpredictably charted. He dialed a number into his phone, his voice steady despite the chaos in his heart. "Henry, we need to talk. Now." Every choice resonated. What he uncovered next might reshape not only his fate but the very legacy he was bound to protect. Jake's pulse quickened as he hung up the phone. His hands trembled as he fished through his pockets for the small notebook he always carried. Despite his nerves, he felt a flicker of control. The act of writing was grounding. Thoughts flowed from his mind to paper, becoming a tentative plan. Every detail mattered now. Every scrap of evidence he could gather could lead him closer to the truth. He stared down at his notes, a list of transactions, dates, shadowy figures that floated inside the manila folder, and Uncle Henry's name, his last link to a life he once trusted. But trust had become a luxury he could no longer afford. As the cacophony of the street enveloped him, the air thick with chatter and uncertainty, he closed his eyes briefly, centering himself. What would it look like to confront Henry? Did he have enough proof to challenge him? Words swirled in his mind, building an unsteady fortress against the familial bond that had grown tainted. As he walked, he replayed potential conversations, what he would say, and how his uncle might respond. Each imagined scenario brought him closer to a junction of emotions: betrayal, fear, anger. Returning home, Jake pulled up every digital footprint Henry had left. Old emails, photographs, digital connections that felt eerily minuscule, yet monumental. He sank into his worn desk chair, the comforting familiarity of his cluttered workspace juxtaposed against the chaos brewing just beyond his door. The night slipped away as he clicked, typed, and scrolled deeper into a web of deceit. Hours later, he leaned back, exhaustion cloaking him like a heavy blanket. To be frank, he was not just fighting for his reputation anymore. He was fighting for his identity. With every transaction he uncovered, He began to feel a strange kinship with Clara, a surge of purpose flowing between them, united by the need for justice. As his findings began to map a clearer picture, flashes of memories complicated his focus. Summer barbecues, Henry's stories, the way laughter could mask deeper pains. It overwhelmed him. Could there be some part of Henry that was innocent? Or was that merely wishful thinking? His thoughts spiraled, teetering between anger and confusion. A loud knock at the door snapped his focus. It couldn't be Clara without warning, nor a neighbor stopping by. Instinctively, he quieted himself, pressing an ear against the wood. A muffled voice filtered through, the tone urgent. "Jake, it's me. Open up." His heart plummeted and raced concurrently. Henry. Everything shifted in an instant. He hesitated, poising himself between the man he had loved and the one who might have betrayed him. With a deep breath, he opened the door. The surprise in Henry's eyes was replaced by a flicker of unease, as if he sensed the tension in the air. "What's going on?" his uncle asked, studying Jake with cautious concern, but Jake could see the glimmer of darkness lurking beneath the surface. "More than you know," Jake said, his voice steadied by a newfound confidence. "We need to talk about your business dealings." Henry's expression clouded, and for a brief moment Jake caught the hint of a smirk, a defense mechanism that quickly morphed into indignation. This was the moment he had anticipated, but also dreaded. "Jake, I didn't think you would leap to conclusions." "Conclusions?" Jake interrupted, feeling the pent-up tide rush through him. "This isn't conjecture. I have proof." The room thickened with unspoken truths, the air vibrating with perilous tension. Every second that passed compounded the emotional stakes. Jake could feel his determination clashing against fear, the battle lines clearly drawn. What would happen next? Would this exchange lead to revelation or retaliation? Uncertainty loomed ominously around them, ready to shatter fragile ties and drag them deeper into the darkness. "Let's find out the truth, shall we?" Jake prodded, steadying himself as the enormity of what lay ahead pressed against him like an unyielding wall. And as the door clicked shut, he feared what knowledge would come, and whether the path forward would strengthen him or leave him shattered. The moment had arrived, and the weight of revelation hung heavy in the air. Would he uncover the depths of Henry's betrayal? Or would he be forced to wrestle with the haunting specter of a family legacy entwined in shadows? Jake's heart raced as the tension saturated the room like thick fog. He maintained eye contact with Henry, looking for any signs of guilt or innocence, but his uncle's expression was inscrutable. For each heartbeat that passed, Jake summoned his courage, the gravity of the situation igniting a blend of resolve and fear deep within him. The contours of his longtime relationship with Henry, once filled with warmth and trust, now felt frail, stretched thin by deceit. How could you let it come to this? Jake couldn't keep the disappointment from lacing his voice. "It's not just about you anymore. It's my life you've toyed with." Henry's brow knitted together, as if weighing whether to plead or deflect. "You're twisting things, Jake. You don't know the full story." "You're right, but I intend to find out." Each syllable dripped with conviction. And just like that, a veil of complacency lifted. The unwavering focus on the task at hand illuminated a path forward. "Start talking," Jake ordered, steeling himself against the emotional backlash he feared would erupt. Henry had always been one to weave elaborate narratives to deflect scrutiny, but Jake now considered himself a player in this story. He would dictate the narrative by urging for the answers he sought. Henry's shoulders slumped slightly, perhaps a recognition that power had shifted. "I did what I had to do to survive," he started, an edge creeping into his tone. "Sometimes you have to make tough decisions. You don't understand the pressures I was under. Pragmatism can't be an excuse for manipulation and betrayal," Jake replied, his disappointment turning to a simmering anger, fueling his determination. He found himself reflecting on the similarities between this moment and his past. Once, he had allowed guilt and obligation to cloud his judgment, never confronting those who wronged him. But he felt different now. He had chosen a different path, Under pressure? Jake snapped, leaning forward, making it clear he wouldn't back down. Have you ever considered how your choices might affect me, or anyone else? Henry's eyes flickered, an acknowledgement of guilt warring with defensiveness. I took risks that kept us afloat. You think I wanted to drag you into this? Jake inhaled deeply, fighting back the wave of confusion that threatened to crash over him. He realized this wasn't simply about Henry's transactions or shady affairs. It was about a fractured trust, an unarticulated bond now exposed. Bile rose in his throat, no longer solely from anger but from the deep-seated yearning for the uncle he once admired. The urge to reach out, to salvage the relationship began to creep up, yet it was drowned out by a profound sense of betrayal. This moment was about confrontation, not reconciliation. He realized he no longer needed anyone else to define him. He had come to see his own strength in such vulnerability. Tell me what I need to know or I'll go to the authorities myself, he threatened, an unexpected boldness lacing his words. The prospect of revealing everything to someone outside this toxic bubble exhilarated him. Each hidden truth was a step closer to reclaiming his own fractured identity. Henry seemed to wilt under the weight of his demands, the game tilting against him. The very air in the room crackled with untold stories and confessions, lingering just out of reach. But Jake was ready to dig deeper, resolve hardening into determination. The impact of that declaration hung in the air, and Jake felt something within him shift. No longer the passive observer of his own narrative, he was transitioning into the protagonist, ready to reclaim ownership of his life. His professional instincts kicked in, designed to sift through layers of deceit, uncovering the truths buried beneath. And as Henry's hesitant gaze darted across the room, escaping the intensity of Jake's stare, the silence revealed a fracture that had been beneath the surface for too long. This was more than family. It was survival. What did you get yourself into? Jake pressed, his voice steady, the anticipation of the truth sending a shiver down his spine. With the question lingering between them, Jake felt poised on the precipice of revelation. The truth could elevate him or destroy him. Either way, he was ready to face it. The stakes had never been higher. The moment of truth loomed, electric and charged with uncertainty. What grotesque secrets lay beyond Henry's defenses? Would the revelations drag Jake deeper into a darkness he was determined to escape? Or would they illuminate a path toward a new identity? Henry regarded Jake with a mix of defiance and desperation, as if weighing the risk of allowing another crack in his carefully maintained facade. The air felt thick, fraught with unsaid words and potential revelations that could tear apart not only their relationship but also Jake's carefully constructed sense of self. You don't want to go down this path, Jake, Henry warned, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Once you step into the light, you might not like what you find. But Jake was past intimidation. Those words, once designed to coerce him into submission, merely fueled his resolve. He could feel his old self, the one that shied away from confrontation and allowed others to dictate his fate, slipping away. Each moment spent in this charged atmosphere crystallized the person he was becoming. A man unafraid to demand answers and willing to confront his fears. Try me, Jake shot back, his voice tinged with a fierce determination he had never fully embraced before. He pressed on, the moment feeling pivotal not just for him, but for the remnants of trust with Henry that lay in tatters at their feet. Henry clenched his jaw as if to prepare for a painful admission. All right, he sighed, his tone conceding defeat. But understand this. Once you know, there's no going back. The weight of those words settled heavily on Jake's chest. He nodded, signaling his readiness for the truth and the inevitable shadows it might cast on his world. I couldn't avoid it, Jake, Henry began, words spilling out like a long-held secret. I made deals, dangerous ones with people who wouldn't think twice about eliminating anyone who got in their way. His eyes darted away, as if scenery could offer solace against the truth of his betrayal. At first it seemed harmless, a way to safeguard what we had and keep you out of chaos. But it spiraled, you know? A knot twisted in Jake's stomach, each detail of his uncle's confession slicing through his perception of family loyalty. This was more than a simple betrayal, It was a battle for survival cloaked in betrayal. What kind of chaos, Henry? What did you sign us up for? The frantic energy in the room was palpable, and Jake's pulse quickened at the half-formed anxiety echoing in his uncle's admission. This was the cliff he'd been inching closer to, one that teetered between enlightenment and despair. The buyers were involved in things that go far beyond what a reasonable person would consider, Henry confessed, his voice trembling as the gravity of his own deeds came to light. Drugs, money laundering, it was all connected. I thought I could manage it, control the fallout, but... He exhaled sharply, the words fizzing into air laced with remorse. I was in too deep, and now they will come for you too if I don't make it right. Everything inside Jake seized at the thought. This wasn't just about his uncle's misdeeds. This was a crescendo of danger poised to invade his life. The threat loomed larger than anything he had anticipated. Make it right? Jake nearly sneered, the bitter taste of unstated responsibility flooding his mind. What does that even mean? You think negotiating with these people will resolve anything? I can't believe you thought this was a solution. Henry's eyes, once a comfort to Jake, now were void of reassurance. I'm trying to protect you, damn it. You don't know what they are capable of. That proclamation, desperate as it was, sparked an unsettling realization in Jake. He could no longer be the passive recipient of someone else's decisions. The realization solidified into a fierce determination that defined who he was becoming. A man prepared to dredge up conflict, not to merely cross the chasm, but to seize control of his own narrative. I need to go. The clarity in Jake's tone stripped away any hesitation. He needed to take his newfound strength and arm himself with knowledge. I'll expose this, Henry. I won't hide behind your choices any longer. I know that, Henry countered, an edge of panic breaking through. But if you expose this too soon, you risk your life. You need to understand what you are mixing into. Aware of the stakes, Jake turned, the voice of doubt in his mind sounding alarm bells. Yet he felt emboldened. The power of that moment laid a foundation for something that had been absent from his life for years. Action rooted in integrity and fierce loyalty to his own being. As he stepped out into the crisp air, the weight of his next choices flooded him with a sense of freedom intermingled with dread. Could he truly navigate this underworld and emerge intact? But one thought anchored him. The truth was callous, but it was his truth. He would face every consequence that came with it. A spark now lit with ferocity guided him forward. What remained in the shadows of Henry's dealings yet to be uncovered? As Jake set out on his journey, the chilling sensation gripped him that he might not be prepared for the full extent of the darkness awaiting him. Jake stepped into the cool evening air, the weight of uncertainty clawing at him from all angles. His mind buzzed with the implications of Henry's confession, each detail an electric shock reverberating through his core. Every footfall felt amplified, a deliberate stride toward a destiny he could no longer ignore nor avoid. He glanced around, the streetlights flickering like silent witnesses to his burgeoning resolve. He needed a plan. The world opened up before him, filled with possibility, yet it felt like a labyrinth of dangers awaiting his misstep. Confronting the truth meant peeling back layers he had long sheltered from. But rather than retreat, he found himself craving the challenge, the liberation that came with facing down threats and standing tall against them. First, he needed information. The chaotic swirl of Henry's dealings had left a wake of danger and intrigue. Questions ricocheted in his mind. Who were these buyers? How deep did the roots of their corruption lie? He pulled out his phone, heart racing with both fear and anticipation, and began to search for anything that might unveil the shroud of secrecy surrounding his uncle's treacherous alliances. His fingers moved deftly, typing quickly through the murky waters of online databases and forums. Piece by piece, snippets of information began emerging, painting a picture of a network thriving off criminal enterprise. It was worse than he could have imagined. Names attached to logos and headlines flashed like warning signs. A few clicks revealed connections to known syndicates infamous for ruthlessness and retribution. The very thought hung over him like a heavy cloud, Calming his breath, he reminded himself of the clarity he had felt moments ago. This was necessary. He would not be an unsuspecting pawn in Henry's games any longer. The thrill coursing through him wore a sheen of fear but also awakening. Perhaps this turmoil would unveil capabilities he never realized he possessed. Hours slipped away as he consumed information. Names transformed from potential threats into targets. He compiled a list, each detail a potential breadcrumb leading him toward understanding. Yet, amidst the adrenaline-fueled pursuit of knowledge, a creeping dread surfaced. What if he uncovered more than he anticipated? What if the shadows cast a darker figure than he could handle? He shook his head. Such thoughts were counterproductive. Doubt was no longer part of his narrative. By morning, he felt a surge of confidence coursing through him. A newfound sense of agency bubbled beneath the surface. Every morsel of data morphed into ammunition for the battle ahead. But there was still one crucial piece missing. He knew he needed a contact, someone he could trust amid a sea of deceit. That brought him back to a memory of a former colleague from his days in investigative journalism, Diana. With her tenacity matched only by her intuition, she could help piece together the puzzle while also keeping him grounded. Pulling out his phone again, he hesitated just a moment, fully aware that re-engaging with Diana meant stepping back into a world he had attempted to distance himself from. What if she viewed him as reckless, or worse, as a naive fool walking into a trap? Still, the temptation of having strong, reliable support eclipsed the fear. With determination anchoring him, he began typing a message. "Hey Diana, I need your help. Can we meet?" As he hit send, the world outside dimmed slightly, the stakes renewed and palpable. What remained hidden in the undercurrents of Henry's deceit was now just a call away from exposure. The overwhelming mix of bravery and doubt surged within. He might soon find himself facing demons that had to this point been nameless. But he was ready, transformed by circumstance and determination. Yet as the morning fog began to lift, a foreboding thought echoed in his mind. What if Henry's enemies were already onto him? The very thought sent a chill down his spine, urging him to act quickly, before the clock signaled a shift from seeker to prey. The time had come to face the unknown repercussions of his awakening. Would their intimidation tactics force him into a corner he couldn't escape? Jake paced restlessly in his apartment, running a hand through his hair as the weight of his decision settled heavily upon him. He had sent the message to Diana, and while the act itself was grounding, it also opened a floodgate of uncertainty. Was he prepared for this return to his investigative roots? Every step would lead him deeper into shadows he hadn't expected to confront again. The seconds trickled into minutes, stretching each leap of his heart into a thrum of anxiety. What if Diana rejected him? They had shared a tumultuous beginning in the world of journalism, full of shared aspirations and mutual struggles. But pride and ambition had driven them apart, and reconnecting now felt both like a step toward empowerment and a return to a past he thought he had left behind. He glanced at the screen again, obsessively refreshing to see if she had replied. The longer it took, the more his mind raced with possibilities, spiraling toward worst-case scenarios. What if she found it foolish, this pursuit of truth? What if she turned away in disbelief, leaving him isolated once more? He had already discarded naivety and recklessness. He couldn't afford to lose more ground. It was mid-morning when his phone buzzed. Heart racing, he snatched it up, relief flooding him as he read her response. "Jake, it's been a while. Let's meet. How about the cafe on 10th? 2 p.m.? The words were a lifeline, yanking him back toward the present. He took a moment to compose himself, heartened but still acutely conscious of the enormity of what lay ahead. This was his chance to gain insights and direction, yet it came at the cost of delving deeper into a world marred by corruption and chaos. He arrived at the cafe early, tracking his breath and examining the familiar surroundings as they morphed under the weight of new urgency. A mixture of trepidation and excitement coursed through him as the cafe buzzed with energy. He watched the people pass by, feeling disconnected yet hyper-aware, observing their interactions as if they held secrets to the universe. Diana walked in exactly at 2, her silhouette instantly recognizable. A jolt of memory struck him. Conversations over coffee late into the night. planning stories that could unearth societal injustices. She exuded an intensity that had always inspired him, but today, he realized he would need her tenacity more than ever. "Jake," she smiled with a subtle wariness in her gaze as she approached. "What brings us back to this?" He was taken aback by the directness in her tone, which jostled him out of his thoughts. "Diana, I need your help with something serious," he began, pausing to gauge her reaction. "Henry's in trouble. He's involved with dangerous people, and I need to understand more about it." The corners of her mouth tightened slightly, signaling concern. "You're not entangled in this, are you?" "This could be a massive risk." Jake took a breath, leaning closer. "I'm not here to play it safe. I can't just let it go. I need to know how deep the roots run. It's personal now." Diana's eyes narrowed slightly, weighing the implications. She nodded, signaling a shift in her demeanor from skepticism to engagement. "Okay, let's see what we can unravel, but we have to be careful. This isn't just about facts. Lives could be at stake." The air shifted between them, tension crackling as the cafe noise faded into the background. As they leaned over a shared laptop, Jake felt the buoyancy of potential action surge within him. The time for passive observation was over. He was proclaiming his name back into the discourse of investigative journalism, now laced with a personal quest for truth and safety. As they delved into the information before them, a chilling realization struck him. This was a mere prelude. While knowledge could empower him, it also exposed him to dangers that lurked just beneath the surface. His heart thudded in nervous anticipation, each keystroke anchoring him further into a reality he could no longer weave away from. "We need to know who we're really dealing with," Diana murmured, her analytical demeanor sharpening his focus. He nodded, understanding that unraveling the strands of deception wouldn't be easy. But as the first glimpse of clarity emerged from their research, a darker undertone flashed through his mind. What if their inquiries drew unwanted attention? The stakes were rising, and Jake felt the chilling breeze of impending confrontation brush against him. This was just the beginning, and he braced himself for the truths that lay waiting to be unearthed. As their investigation unfolded, would they fan the flames of danger or illuminate the path to redemption? The clatter of the cafe's utensils and the swirl of conversations faded into a muted backdrop as Jake and Diana ripped through the layers of information on the laptop. The initial thrill of rekindled partnership sparked unspoken memories, yet it was deeper now, shadowed by an urgency that thickened the air between them. The revelations they uncovered became embers in the dark, illuminating a path they had once tread together, only to diverge into their own intimidating realities. "For years I thought I'd moved on," he admitted, staring at an online article that hinted at covert dealings between a local law enforcement agency and criminal organizations. "But the pull of this work, it's like a muscle I never knew I needed to exercise again." Diana's quick glance told him she understood the complexity of his emotions. "You mean you've missed the chase?" Her tone was both teasing and serious, a reminder of their old exchanges. "It's more than that," he countered sharply, fighting the creeping doubt trying to bury his resolve. "This is personal. Henry, he's not just a source to me anymore. He's part of why I got into this. It's hard to explain." "Then let's dig deeper," she urged, leaning back, her eyes narrowing as if lining up the pieces in her mind. "If we're going to battle this, we need to know how high it goes." As Jake continued to uncover details about Henry's situation, a new sense of purpose ignited within him. Each click brought not only revelations, but also questions he hadn't prepared for. What did it mean to be an investigator again? To seek truths that could land him and potentially others in danger. He couldn't ignore the unnerving thought that his past choices had never really exited his life. They merely slumbered until now. With newfound determination, Jake scrutinized the screen in front of him. "Look, here's a report on suspicious financial transactions linking back to the department. If Henry's involved, there must be a trail somewhere." Diana leaned closer, her focus sharpening. "This could be valuable, but Jake, we need discretion. If we're getting tangled, I won't let you turn into a target. The weight of her warning settled on him. The reminder that he was wading into murky waters pushed at his instinctive caution. Yet Jake felt a surge of rebellious defiance growing within. Was he ready to risk everything he had built to uncover another man's truth? Did he even have a choice now that he was drawn so deeply back into this world? I understand the risks, he replied slowly, feeling the tight knot of fear and resolve in his chest. But I need to see it through. It's about more than just Henry. It's about cleaning up our own backyard. A moment stretched between them, tension coursing through the space as they exchanged silent acknowledgments. This was no longer just an investigative endeavor. It had morphed into a personal crusade for Jake, sharpening his senses and igniting skills he thought had dulled. Focused, they parsed through case files and social media threads, gathering intel. As they worked, a realization crept over him, one he couldn't shake. What if there were things he didn't know about himself, about his capabilities? Each discovery became a stepping stone, revealing the layers of determination he had buried beneath years of disillusionment. Suddenly, Diana's expression shifted. Jake. Wait. This name. It's mentioned in an article about police misconduct. Are you seeing this? His heart raced as he leaned in. Who? Detective Morris. He's linked directly to Henry's case. The name rang like a bell, reverberating through his mind as memories of past stories and corrupt officers flashed before him. Morris had been a shadow in his early investigations, always managing to escape scrutiny. Exposure of his connections could lead to significant consequences, not only for their inquiry but for Jake himself. The moment was electric, charging every corner of the cafe with the weight of confrontation. Jake battled within him, the fear of what lay ahead colliding with an undeniable thirst for truth. Then we need to confront him, Jake stated, his voice steadied by adrenaline. This time I'll expose him. Just as he felt the gravity of their mission start to solidify, a sense of foreboding washed over him. Confronting Morris could trigger a cascade of retaliation. It was the moment where their investigation morphed from research into direct confrontation. The line had been drawn. Jake's identity as a journalist had awakened from its slumber, and with it, the dangers inherent in intertwining personal stakes with questing for justice. In the depths of that cafe, as they prepared for their next move, he questioned whether he was truly ready. What lay ahead was unknown, and the imminent intersection of their paths with a formidable opponent had the potential for both liberation and destruction. The laptop hummed quietly as Jake mused on their choice. Was he prepared to face the ghost of his past as he stepped into this new light? As they locked eyes, the thrill of the chase pulsed through them, both exhilarating and ominous. Would their revelations inevitably lead them to something far darker than they anticipated? The air was thick with anticipation as Jake and Diana left the cafe, their shared determination cementing their plans. Each step felt as if they were trudging deeper into uncharted territory, where their past experiences tangled with their current drive for truth. Jake embraced the unsettling blend of nerves and excitement coursing through him, wondering how it would reshape him again. They arrived at the precinct housing Detective Morris's office, a looming structure that seemed to swallow light. As they approached, Jake sensed the first wave of doubt wash over him. Was he merely a voyeur in his own story, now watching himself prepared to confront a man he once thought untouchable? The echoes of his previous encounters with Morris lingered like ghosts, shifting the ground beneath his resolve. "Stay close," Diana whispered, pulling him back into the moment. "We need to be vigilant." "Right," Jake replied, rallying his focus. Thoughts of Henry and the implications of exposing Morris energized his resolve. He was no longer just a spectator. He was about to reclaim his narrative, to challenge the very system that had left him feeling powerless for so long. Inside the precinct, they navigated the sterile hallways with purpose. The sound of ringing phones and the occasional laughter from officers bounced off the walls, creating an atmosphere thick with normalcy that contrasted sharply with the clandestine mission they were undertaking. Jake's heart thundered in his chest, every beat echoing doubts and queries in equal measure. "Jake?" Diana's voice brought him back. "You okay?" "Yeah, just thinking." He hesitated. What happens if he denies everything? What if he's already aware we're looking into him? Then we'll adapt. Information is our weapon. Remember, we're on the side of truth, she insisted, offering a reassuring nod that steadied him. As they reached Morris's office, Jake's mind raced along paths of possibilities. Confrontation could empower or destroy him. With every internal debate, the weight of his moral convictions bore down on him. He had fought hard to rise above his past. Risking it now felt like stepping back into quicksand. Let's do this, he finally said, his voice imbued with newfound gravity. They knocked, the sound sharp, requiring them to brace against whatever response it provoked. Come in. The gruff voice on the other side beckoned. Stepping into the office, Jake felt the palpable shift in energy as he found himself face to face with Morris. The detective's demeanor, a blend of nonchalance and intimidation, spoke volumes. A seasoned adversary, he appeared unconcerned, leaning back in his chair, legs crossed as he surveyed them coolly. Jake Riley, Morris drawled, recognition lighting his eyes. What brings you to my humble abode? Jake swallowed the lump in his throat, forcing himself to maintain eye contact. We need to talk about the allegations linked to your department. Morris's smile widened, but it didn't reach his eyes. You're playing a dangerous game, journalist. The play of power and intent flickered between them, and Jake could sense the underlying threats woven into Morris's words. Instead of flinching, he chose to double down. The dangerous game is where you are, detective. The truth is coming for you, and this time you won't evade it. Morris leaned forward, the air thickening with tension. I suggest you watch your back, Riley. You may not like where this path leads. Jake's heart raced as he remained steadfast, rejecting the urge to retreat under the looming intimidation. This was more than a confrontation. It was a clash of ideologies, a reckoning of the dark underbelly of the investigations that had once consumed him. As they left the office, a swirling mix of exhilaration and dread filled the silence between them. Do you think he'll retaliate? Diana asked, biting her lip. If he does, we're ready. No more running, Jake replied, his voice steady, but inside, uncertainty gnawed at him. He had ignited a wildfire that could scorch everyone involved. As they departed the precinct, Jake felt the weight of his decision settling heavier than before. He was no longer merely an observer of injustice. He had thrust himself into the heart of it, where every choice mattered, not just for him but for Henry, too. With adrenaline still coursing through him, he couldn't shake the thought. What would his own journey for justice extract from him? They hadn't just poked the beast. This was a direct challenge. As they stepped back into the glaring sunlight, Jake knew something had shifted irrevocably within him. The chase had begun, but so had the danger. Could he embrace the chaos he had unleashed, knowing that it would push him to confront not only Morris but also deeply rooted fears within himself? As his phone buzzed in his pocket, a new message from Henry illuminating the screen, Jake understood that whatever lay ahead would force him to reckon with the ghosts he questioned, whether he could ever truly escape. The days that followed were a whirlwind of tension and urgency. Jake unearthed layers of corruption, each new headline and source further entrenching him in a reality he could scarcely believe. Every discovery pounded like a drum in his chest, fueling a determination that eclipsed any lingering doubt. His professional instincts, long dormant, reinvigorated with every transaction linked to Henry, Morris, and the shadowy entities they served. This wasn't just about a family legacy anymore. It was a battle for truth, integrity, and ultimately, his own identity. He continued coordinating with Diana, their partnership evolving into a sequence of meticulous strategizing and relentless pursuit of information. They dug deeper into the financial entanglements, revealing connections between Morris and a notorious crime syndicate that preyed on the weak, manipulating the law for their own gain. It was a tangled web that Jake had once only observed from afar, but now he was at its center, fighting to reclaim not just his reputation, but his very essence. One late night, as they sifted through court documents and surveillance footage, a name leaped out at Jake, illuminating his surroundings with the clarity of truth. "Diana, look," he exclaimed, pointing to the screen. "This is the accountant who manages Henry's finances. He's been funneling money to Morris's connections. The revelation struck like lightning, igniting a rush of adrenaline. With their search growing more intense, the stakes elevated exponentially. We have to confront Morris again, but this time with evidence, Jake decided firmly, the fire in his eyes reflecting the urgency of their mission. Together they organized a meeting, one that carried the potential to tip the scales against the rampant misconduct. Jake's gut churned as they prepared to face Morris, but he no longer felt alone. He had forged a partnership with Diana, their shared resolve creating a shield against the danger that loomed at the periphery. When the moment arrived, Jake entered Morris's office with a renewed sense of confidence. Each step felt deliberate, a signal to the detective that he was no longer the naive officer of yesteryears, but a man adamant about accountability. "Detective Morris," he began, his voice steady, "we have evidence linking you directly to illicit activity." Morris narrowed his eyes, projecting an air of defiance, but the cracks appeared and Jake pressed on. "This isn't just an allegation, it's a fact. Your name is on the documents I possess, alongside payments to known criminals." He placed the folder on the desk, daring Morris to deny reality. The detective's demeanor morphed, a quick flicker of panic darting across his face. "You think these threats will intimidate me? That this fleeting evidence holds any real value?" He scoffed, conviction wavering as his tone edged into desperation. But Jake did not flinch. "This is no longer your game, Morris. I refuse to be a pawn any longer. I'm exposing you and your network, and I will ensure the truth is known." Each word radiated power, fueling an unshakable sense of purpose ignited from within. As the meeting unfolded, Jake felt a significant shift. No longer defined by the whispers of scandal shrouding his badge, he emerged as a force for justice. Morris's bravado faltered, revealing the unease beneath. The fear of being unmasked, of consequences he could no longer evade. After leaving the office, the weight of the confrontation lightened his spirit. "You were incredible in there, Jake," Diana remarked, exhilarated. "You stood your ground, and it made all the difference." Reflecting on their shared triumph only bolstered his resolve. They had taken control of their narrative, unveiling the layers of deceit encasing the truth. Yet Jake understood that this victory was merely the first step. Rousing a storm meant he must now brace for the repercussions that would undoubtedly follow. Yet as they continued gathering evidence, piecing together the puzzle of Henry's involvement and Morris's corruption, Jake felt a shift in himself, an evolution from the chaos that had once clouded his life. He began to comprehend the depth of who he had become, an advocate for truth, an investigator by nature, and a man unafraid to confront his past. Finally, armed with irrefutable proof, they pushed the case into the public sphere, the showdown between justice and corruption poised to unfold. In doing so, Jake reclaimed his identity and the legacy tarnished by betrayal. His family name was at stake, but now it symbolized bravery, resilience, and a commitment to righting wrongs rather than hiding from them. Years of uncertainty had branded his life with shadows, but now, he felt liberated from the chains that had bound him. Through every challenge and confrontation, he learned to stand tall amidst adversity. As the case gathered momentum, he knew the road ahead was fraught with unpredictability. Yet he felt solid confidence in his purpose, having transformed fear into action and guilt into clarity. As lights flashed in the distance, signaling the dawn of justice, Jake understood that he had conquered the turmoil. Emerging renewed, he wanted to abandon every lingering whisper of doubt affixed to his past and unshed layers of our greater struggles, as both an officer and an individual in search of integrity. In this moment of triumph, he stood unwavering, prepared to embrace the real legacy of his family, steadfast honor rooted in truth. This was his final awakening, the profound realization that it was never too late to reclaim one's narrative and emerge stronger than before. You need to subscribe now to our channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories that will inspire and empower you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. You are creating impact. Comment your reactions and theories about this electrifying conclusion. Your insights matter. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful message about overcoming adversity and reclaiming one's legacy. Don't wait even one more second. Show your support for profound narratives that resonate with the heart and mind.